Her point is, her argument is that this all would have been perfectly copacetic, perfectly fine, ICE going in there doing ICE's job, but for the fact that Donald Trump sent in the National Guard. Even worse, if we back up a little bit, her point is everything would have been copacetic if ICE was never there enforcing the law in the first place. Now remember why ICE was there. ICE was not there to round up everybody, although they have rounded up people who haven't committed crimes, but their priority, their list at the very top was some of the worst criminals. That's who they were picking up. Well, they've been a little busy out there in LA and some of the other cities in our country. The usual reprobates and the Democrat Party militia. They have, they use illegal aliens, they use the Islamists, they use the Marxists, because that's who they are now. That's who they are now. And so I want to take a look at this, and there's other things to get to as well. And well, first we'll go to Jen Psaki. Now, Jen Psaki is a relatively stupid person. She covered up for Joe Biden, another relatively stupid person, while she was the press secretary. So we know her as a serial psychotic liar who would tell us how smart Joe Biden is, but tells us how stupid she is. It also tells us what a liar she is. Now, having gotten their resumes out of the way, Psaki will lie again about what's taking place in Los Angeles. So my problem isn't even with her. My problem is with Comcast. Comcast owns NBC and MSNBC. Many of you have cable from Comcast because basically it's a monopoly. You know, in your community, you get one choice. It's three choices of cable companies. No, it's this, take it or leave it. And so you can get away from cable. You can do Fios. You can do other digital types of television and so forth and so on. But here she is. She's on MSLSD, where all the reprobates go to be hosts. And she gives out her propaganda about what's taking place. So let's take a listen to some of this. I can't listen to all of it. Some of it. Go.
Look, I'm sure by now you have seen a lot of images of what is happening on the streets of Los Angeles. They are everywhere. They're on television, they're on social media, and to be clear...
And they're on your show, lady. You may have missed it. Go ahead.
There have been moments where the protests have been very chaotic, and there are moments where they have certainly also been violent. I mean, I'm sure you have seen this image of an autonomous Waymo car lit on fire by protesters many times. I feel like it is all over my social media feed more than almost anything else. And Fox News has been using the image.
I'm waiting for but. Go ahead.
Like wallpaper. You can see a lot of the examples there to depict the city of LA in a state of complete chaos. What you may not be seeing are scenes like this. This was the scene yesterday outside of the clothing manufacturer that federal immigration agents...
Okay, look. Nobody cares about this. If you're a peaceful protester, there's probably 1 million peaceful protesters out today doing something. Most of them are unemployed. They have nothing better to do. Not all, but most. So what? It's not news. They're peaceful protesters. So that's fine. We've got no problem with peaceful protesters in this country, unless, of course, they're in abortion clinics, then the Democrats round them up. And unless, of course, they're Catholics, Democrats don't much like them either, you know. But putting all that aside, this is perfectly fine. What's the problem with this? But don't you understand, Mark, this is the mostly peaceful protesters. I don't care about the mostly peaceful protesters. I care about the mostly violent protesters. Go.
These are family members of the people who were arrested, gathering to tell their stories and demanding due process for their loved ones.
Excuse me. I don't know what else to say. They don't believe in borders, sovereignty, and so here are people who are here illegally. Now, they came here knowing they're illegally here, or their family brought them knowing they would be bringing them illegally here. What did they expect? We have laws in this country. And their families want you to know about their different family members who are being deported. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, this party pretends they're for law and order. This isn't for law and order. I want to tell you something here, and I could be dead wrong, but I'm normally not. You know who else is watching this? The Supreme Court of the United States. And whatever they may have been thinking they would decide in the birthright citizenship case, I guarantee you that the chances of us winning that case now are close to zero. Because they're afraid. Can you imagine what would happen in these communities if they rule, I'm sorry, just because you have a child here and you're a legal immigrant doesn't make them a citizen? Can you imagine? Now that's what they should rule. That's the law. Look at the environment that's been created here. It's just incredible. So, utter lawlessness in every respect. Go ahead.
I had to witness him being chained up like he was some kind of dangerous animal.
I witnessed how they put my father in handcuffs, chained him.
How much time has Psaki? That's good enough. Sometimes the P and the S need to be switched. You know, it's complicated. How much time has Psaki spent talking to the families that have been brutalized as a result of illegal immigrants? Little if none. I certainly don't watch your show, neither does anybody else. But that said, I can't imagine it's much. Can you? No. And so this is what they're going to show you. Again, is this news or is this propaganda? Obviously, it's propaganda. Go ahead.
From the waist and from his ankles.
The hardest and most painful thing is that my...
Okay, here's the other thing. You do know, ladies and gentlemen, if you self-deport before you're caught, you can get in line and try and come into the United States illegally. Did you guys know that? Now, if you're caught and you don't self-deport, you could have a lifetime ban, depending on your situation, or a 10-year or 20-year ban. And so there is a significant amount, not a much, of self-deportation going on, and people saying, you know what, I'm going to get out, I'm going to get in line. That's what their family members could have done too, but they didn't do that. Go ahead.
And Mr. Father, he is our family's sole financial support.
I was present during the raids. I saw with my own eyes the pains of the families, crying, screaming, not knowing what to do, just like me. That's why the families demand free of all workers, legal representation, and due process.
Every day since Friday, Los Angeles...
There they have Trump in front of the military. Yeah, how do you have a Biden spokesliar on a network like this? And then she's reporting about the president opposite, the man that Biden ran against and the man that Biden would have run against. How is this even possible as a news operation? I'll tell you, it's Pravda. That's how it's possible. It's the American Pravda. Go ahead.
Also seen multiple peaceful protests, people coming out in droves to express how upset they are that the Trump administration is rounding up their neighbors and their family members and their friends and people in their community.
So how, if you're going to deport illegal aliens, how is it that you don't, quote unquote, round up their friends, their neighbors, and so forth? It's like I heard the other day one of these fools saying they actually went into their homes. Okay, so you can't go into their home, you can't go into their schools, can't go into their place of work, can't go into their place of worship. So in other words, you can't deport anybody because you're going to find them where they are, right? Well, where are they? They're in all the places I just listed. Go ahead.
But these aren't the protests the Trump administration wants you to see. They don't want you to see what you see on the screen right now. They want you to see chaos and violence.
How is it that the Trump administration wants people to see chaos and violence? Is the Trump administration in charge of their cameras? No. Is the Trump administration in charge of the media? No. The media are having to show some of what they don't want to show. It has nothing to do with what Trump wants to show them. So her point is, her argument is that this all would have been perfectly copacetic, perfectly fine, ICE going in there doing ICE's job, but for the fact that Donald Trump sent in the National Guard. Even worse, if we back up a little bit, her point is everything would have been copacetic if ICE was never there enforcing the law in the first place. Now remember why ICE was there. ICE was not there to round up everybody, although they have rounded up people who haven't committed crimes, but their priority, their list, at the very top was some of the worst of the worst criminals, not only in in that state, in that city, but nationwide. That's who they were picking up.
For all this and much more, sign up for LevinTV.